It has a god fruit, and according to the title, is ZAZA. I see why Dragon's so chill, bro. He be speaking that ZA, bro. I didn't know he was like that. But let me stop yapping. Let's get into the video.
It's inevitable that Monkey D. Dragon, the most wanted man in the world, wields a god fruit, model ZAZA. So, if this is true, then Dragon would be the culmination of everything the world government fears. He'd be a member of the Will of D, a user of the Rain God abilities, and he would be the father of the Sun God Nika, and another thing, he's taking all of this and entirely fixating on purging this planet of the world nobles. That, my friends, is how you become the most wanted man in the world. And if you take this one step further, let's say that after God Valley, Dragon, well, he knows exactly who his enemy is, so he travels the world and stumbles upon some, old legends of world nobles being afraid of some sort of a rain god. And then Dragon goes out of his way to discover and consume a fruit of devilish nature hidden somewhere out there in the world, said to possess these powers and really bring a more literal meaning to the idea that the Will of D will always cause a storm. Even God, all that man did was procreate, and just look at the storm he's created. And Dragon's tattoo has also been linked by fans to the Shandian tribe for quite some time. I'm not entirely sure whether it should or not, because it is quite different to everything we've seen except for the placement.
From Skypea. Okay.
But I bring this up to say that the Shandians did worship the rain god.
They did.
So that is one potential source of knowledge through an admittedly flimsy connection at the moment. But it might be there. However, by the time we get to Logtown Dragon, he well and truly has his powers, hence why a very convenient storm saves Luffy from
before time skip, 14 years.
Okay. Very appropriately, as I mentioned in the last video, when Dragon first appears, he's even accompanied by the ZA onomatopoeia that his name is taken from. So I do think that he is a genuinely strong candidate. And what I have trouble getting over is the idea that if Dragon is not the Rain God power user, then what is he? He just has a devil fruit that has exactly the same power, but without the fancy ZAZA brand name. It's a knockoff power. But there are other ideas that I quite like, such as the following.
Hold on. I feel like Luffy's that power, bro, the rain power, bro. I feel like since like he's the rain god, right, and Luffy the sun god, bro, I feel like they're gonna intertwine somehow, bro. I don't know about necessarily like me head to head, but I feel like they're gonna like somehow like be main focus points throughout the end of the story. I don't know why, but it just makes sense because they're always talking about devils and gods, bro. And hey, if he's the rain god, Luffy's the sun god, they gotta be a moon god eventually. Hey, there gotta be another god out there somewhere, right?
Really get why Oda called it dance powder. The rain god ZAZA is summoned through dance. Yeah, that's right. In this chapter, ZAZA was said to appear with the rhythm of the rain dance, which is probably not that. And one way to quite literally summon rain in One Piece is to use the dance powder. And that's why I think the dragon may not be the only answer to our ZAZA question. Dance powder is what Crocodile was using to manipulate the rain, which was a substance that was actually banned by the world government. Very interesting note there. The world government banning the rain dance.
Manipulation?
Apparently because it starts wars due to stealing the rain of neighboring countries and such. I don't know.
Real life?
Convenient excuse, I know. Because the more I think about Alabasta and the fact that this entire saga was centered around the idea that a war broke out over rain. The idea of Vivi having brought the rain back to Alabasta, with the war only ending once those first few raindrops were felt by the combatants. And it's got me thinking that there could be a Vivi and or Lily, and therefore Vivi connection to the ZAZA powers. Because most old islands in One Piece,
that's a good take.
Their associated deities. Elbaf, the most recent one, they've got a sun god, they've got the war god, the powers of the latter of which was sealed within their national devil fruit. So perhaps Alabasta could have been the same. What a desert nation creation needs most is rain. And their deity may have been ZAZA, the rain goddess. So Alabaster, they could have been the caretakers of a ZAZA fruit in the same way that Elbaf had the Nidhogg.
So how did that get it?
This is something that I should look into further. Alabaster,
How did that get
just
it?
has so much going on thematically with rain and water and even dancing. And if dragon is not our answer to the ZAZA question, which to be clear,
Then who would be?
I think he still might be. But if not, my next stop would be to re-explore Alabaster. Is this the first time that a devil fruit ability has directly created liquid water? In canon, I think so. In the One Piece movies, there's this weird character called Honey Queen, who is a Logia user of a substance that looks suspiciously like water. It's called the Toronomi, which means a liquid fruit, which isn't very helpful. I mean, I don't know.
Or purple
like
juice.
It matters because the fruit isn't canon. But yeah, the more I think about it, the more I see Killiam doing this, and it does feel, dare I say, taboo to be creating water with a devil fruit power.
Besides them, it's only fish making do water.
Well, I do wonder
So,
if it has exactly the same properties of water, or if it's somehow different, like the non-canon Honey Queen. Is it just water-like liquid? And one thing to note is that devil fruit users are said to be hated by the sea god, not the rain god, who are at this stage two different entities. So there could be a difference in the water of the rain god versus the sea god that explains why killing.
So many gods, Jesus.
Maybe not. Maybe we're just thinking about it
damn.
too much. Where was ZAZA during the Harley? Shandora mentions the sun, earth, forest, and rain gods, but the Harley mentions the sun, earth, forest, and sea gods. That is true.
Not the rain gods,
sea gods mentioned in the Harley text, and only 4 gods were mentioned in the Nolan flashback. And those 4 gods, they're not the same as 5. However, just because only 4 gods are mentioned in each instance doesn't mean that there are only 4 gods in the world in total. At the moment, we have 6 named gods, the 5 aforementioned ones, as well as the war god, and a possible 7th with Brooks' implied prayers to the music god during the time skip. The music god actually being mentioned during the anime, but that was in a filler section, and until it's stated in the manga, it shall remain a speculation, I suppose.
So there's only, 6 gods, 7 gods, bro? 6, 7? Anyway, but like, are there gonna be like, so are all the gods just gods, or like are they also devils? Like, I feel there's like devil fruit, right? So are they really devils, or are they gods? And who considers them gods and devils at the same time? I'm not saying, cause like Emo is considered a devil, but does she have like godlike powers? So is she really a devil, or is she a god? Depending on how you wanna play these characters. I don't know how to say this, but how do you want to proceed them, I guess.
And while ZAZA, the rain god, might not be mentioned in the Harley text, I do believe that we can see ZAZA in the Elbaf mural.
ZAZA!
In the top left-hand corner, alongside the Alliance of Nika, there's these like 2 dudes riding a whale in the sky. And above the apparently sky whale, we see a splattering of rainfall, which I think is probably at least indicating the presence of the rain god ZAZA.
Okay.
The fact that the Holy Knights and Celestial Dragons fear something as simple as rain is hilarious to me, given how comforting the sound is to most people out there. Agreed, I love the sound of rain. And the following is not my comment. I wish I was clever enough to conjure something like this. But there was a reply to this comment stating that the world nobles are only afraid of the rain because it is a reminder that there is something above them. Because think of it this way, it must be quite confronting for one who believes themselves to be a god, to have to stare up at the unknown, and to have a force exercise its will over them. You can't stop the rain, which is probably why they live above the clouds at Marjois, as this is the only location on the planet where they would not be subject to rain. Rain is more like a reminder of their own mortality. Just how existential must it be for someone who believes they're a god to be confronted with an actual higher power? That is what rain does to these people. And this is also the point where we
bit.
should re-examine the clothing of the world nobles. Over time, the fan base has gone back and forth about whether they look more like astronauts or whether they look more like scuba divers.
Yeah,
and with this
like
revelation, I'm leaning back towards the latter. As if this attire was adopted out of the sheer fear that they would be subject to the rain god powers and may end up being flooded, it would make sense that they've always got their diving gear on just in case.
I guess when they
Although
scared.
the meaning of these outfits has probably been lost on the modern day world nobles. And it could be a tradition that was started by the original founding celestial dragons. And it may even have been their military uniforms during the Void Century War. If the world was always at risk of being flooded and continued to rise 200 meters, as Vegapunk said, then having the appropriate battle wear to deal with sudden submersion would be of paramount importance. Calling it now. Sanji is going to see ZAZA and exclaim that she's the all-blue he's been looking for. This is an unparalleled opportunity.
No, it's not.
I know that things are rather serious right now, but that has never stopped a joke in One Piece before, and I need to see Sanji do this. And I tell you what, I bet Sanji's pretty glad that he didn't achieve his original dream of eating the invisible fruit now. Because as soon as Sanji sees ZAZA, this boy, he's going snorkeling.
He's gonna lose
that
it, man.
does
All
raise
that
a surprisingly relevant point, though. Even if you can fight against ZAZA, who appears to mostly be made of dream water at the moment.
Don't matter.
Sanji himself probably won't be able to do it because she is a woman. So this does open the field back up to the other Straw Hats to step in and take some sort of relevant.
Would the rain god be evil? Why like all the god evil except for like Luffy and like I guess Dragon? Dragon's not evil or good, bro. He just trying to like not fuck with the Marine because the Marines aren't good. So I fuck with that, bro. But I feel like why everybody just don't want to like be chill and be like normal and stuff and start trying to be like take over the world and shit. Nigga, just be normal.
Role
be a normal character, be a normal person.
Jinbei, surely if there is anyone on this planet who would be a solid counter to ZAZA, it would be the greatest master of Fishman Karate. I suppose that Jinbei was able to manipulate the water that Raizo provided from Zunesha, so I have faith in his ZAZA handling skills as well. Jinbei to ZAZA is like the equivalent of Luffy to NL. And we may even see ZAZA make the NL face against Jinbei. And this could also provide a good opportunity to Nami, because who better to combat a manifestation of some sort of living sea than a navigator weather sorceress?
I guess
For the other Straw Hats, though, I'm not sure how much potential I see. Robin, Chopper, and Brook, they're automatically out because they're fruit users, and ZAZA's water type is super effective against them. Back to Sanji, though. I do love that Killingham's worst nightmare is literally Sanji's wet dream. It is the all blue in the shape of a sexily lady. And maybe Killingham will discover that sometimes good dreams can be just as, if not more effective than manifesting nightmares in order to disable your opponents. However, if this doesn't work out for Killingham, like nothing has so far, then he will surely fall back to his fruit abilities again. And if Killingham can't stop Sanji, then perhaps he will believe that Sanji's worst fears can stop him. And I've mentioned this idea before, that Sanji's worst fears may be the Okama that he spent 2 years fighting and fleeing from on Momoiro Island.
Why would they even
the Emporio Ivankov himself? Because I would love to see Sanji's nightmare version of Ivankov. And it's not entirely thematically irrelevant to do so. It wouldn't just be a joke. Because one of the main attacks that Sanji got out of that experience was Hell's Memories. And we're very focused right now thematically on gods and devils and such, and what is the difference between them. And so if Killingham presents Sanji with an even more exaggerated version of his Okama fears, then does Sanji innovate an even more powerful Hell's Memories and show us what a true devil can do? Why does ZAZA look like Gunko all those years ago? Yeah, she does look a little bit like Gunko when Gunko served as Imu's attendant in the Chamber of Flowers. I don't know if she looks similar enough though. The comparison being drawn here is because both of them are wearing masks over their mouths, and Gunko's ornate-ish frilly mask does evoke some ZAZA vibes, I suppose. And if that is the case, then maybe Imu has some history with ZAZA, like a long-lost lover that he's creepily trying to dress his subsequent women in the style of. I don't know. I'm not sold on if there's any connection whatsoever just yet. Masks are not uncommon in One Piece, but it does like to use them stylistically, so I don't know if we should be looking at deeper connections there just yet. Seeing Imu's omen revert to steel bullets has cemented the idea that his abilities are sufficiently advanced technology being mistaken for magic.
So you're saying my boy Albert Einstein here, or Vegapunk, gave my boy Emo powers? He's a fraud? He's a fake? Vegapunk got some good ass technology on my boy hand. That makes sense. That do make sense, but I don't know. I can't really confirm it or deny it, bro. What you guys see what Oda has planned? You know what I'm saying?
A fair bit stronger for me as well. You may or may not have heard this before, but there is a bit of a strange mecha emu theory out there, which is probably a bad name for it, but it came out due to a couple of things in chapter 1179. Firstly, the revelation that Saint Summers had a mechanical heart powering him. That was very bizarre. We've been led to believe that these holy knights are creatures of some sort of dark magical pact.
I made a deal with the devil?
When Emu arrived on Elbaf, he was
I guess,
by an intriguing sound effect, which was a zzzt, as in the traditionally accepted sound of electricity, a buzz, a zzz. And I didn't think about this too much at the time because there is a lot of black lightning around him, so it could have been like a Haki and or Maki buzz. But these little pieces, you know, they're starting to form a very interesting looking pile. And if you look at Emu's body, all of the dots, they're very precisely placed, and some of his markings even look like electrical circuits. And if you wanted to get almost stupidly conspiratorial, and I know that you do, you can even point out that Emu is also a type of technology in the real world, an inertial measurement unit. So imagine if Oda's doing some Emu research one day, he Googles it and he goes, huh? Yeah. What if my secret king was some sort of robotic ruse? However, right now it does seem almost inconceivable that Emu's abilities are the result of science and technology opposed to some kind of magic and or some kind of devil fruit. And the most simple explanation with the information we have right now is still one of the latter two. But that could just be because I myself don't have sufficient enough understanding of this allegedly advanced technology. But if there's anyone out there who will be able to figure this out, then that would be Lilith, who's already doing a bit of a ponder over exactly what Emu is, and she did seem to generate an unspoken hypothesis in chapter 1182, and I am very interested in pursuing this idea further because it would tie Lilith and Vegapunk more closely to the rest of the final saga, and perhaps...
So you telling me that she might know all the answer, and ain't nobody watching her back? Yeah, better watching her back for real.
Perhaps even link to the 3,000-year-old lab on Elbaf that we still have yet to properly explore. So the overall idea is that Emu, he's pulling a Wizard of Oz, pretending to be some great and powerful deity, but he really just has access to technology that no one, not even Vegapunk, can even comprehend. And he does stuff like summon magical tomes and create spell circles just to embrace the illusion, to throw people off the nasty pungent scent of science. And again, I don't mind this. I always feel a bit strange when I say this, but always remember that One Piece, the world, up until very recently, has been a strictly scientific fiction universe. The idea of magic outside of a few unexplained phenomena doesn't really exist. The closest thing we have are devil fruits, and we know exactly how they function. These fruits alter the factor of the consumer, and these days we don't even need the fruits themselves to create the resulting powers. Vegapunk just needed the code of the fruit's effect, and he was able to replicate that with his green blood innovation to grant devil fruit abilities to the Seraphim, to the point where you can even swap out the fruit powers by transfusing different variants of the green blood into the Seraphim. That is fictional science.
Yeah,
maybe
but
whatever the crap
science.
he was doing is as well. Internet man, what if Biblo is Louis Arnaud? This has become a very popular theory all of a sudden. And just in case you've forgotten, Louis Arnaud is an in-world explorer author who has been mentioned on 2 occasions. Once was a quote from his book Bragmen about Little Garden. In fact, Louis Arnaud is the one who named the island Little Garden, sort of like how Roger got to name Luff Tale. That is the privilege of the explorer stepping into the unknown. What's
That's
this?
fair.
Unknown land, you say?
First come.
Gotta give it a name.
Well, not first come, but first second name.
And the second time he was mentioned was the infamous chapter 1132, where Louis Arnaud was quoted with the warning to not overstay your welcome on Elbaf, which gave rise to all the theories about time moving differently on this island. And Biblo is definitely something of some historical importance. I'm just not...
Time moving different Elbaf? Like how differently? Like an hour differently, 2 hours differently, 2 weeks, 2 times, fast or slow? What are we talking here in Elbaf? Let me down below, y'all. How fast we moving?
Not sure how on board I am with the idea of him being Louis Arnaud at the moment, because the connection, it's only really being drawn from 2 things. One is that Louis Arnaud was an author. Authors, they write books, and Biblo is a librarian, so he also does books. And secondly, because Louis Arnaud's tales have only ever been mentioned in connection to Elbaf.
I'll give you wrong.
It's not quite enough for me, but I am very, very open to this idea. I think it would be very cool if this ancient owl set out on a mission to rediscover the world after it was remade, the transition from second world to third world. And I also do very much like the idea of having this flying explorer. He would be exactly the right person to do this job in a time where travel via any other method is either extremely difficult or outright impossible. The one maybe contradiction at the moment is that Louis Arnaud apparently visited Little Garden at some point within the last 100 years, and Saul said that Biblo had been on Elbaf for centuries. But look, no one really knows anything about Biblo. He could have gone outside for a few months every now and then to pen a new adventure. So I don't think there's anything that outright contradicts this idea just yet. Also, this might be an important note.
What's that?
Might not be. But the fictional book I mentioned, Bragmen, it was not solely authored by Louis Arnaud. In the SBS of volume 42, Otis stated that it was a tome of, quote, adventures on the Grand Line. Eyewitness tales about the unbelievable island's people and happenings in this mysterious sea, related by fearless explorers, all so outlandish and bizarre to normal readers around the world that they were collected into a book of told tales and given this humiliating title. So this book, Bragmen, is kind of like the story of Lion Noland. It's a collection of tales so unbelievable that it was attributed to men who just wanted to brag about their non-existent adventures, hence Bragmen.
Whoa, the story could be real. You don't know that. It could be some good story, bro. They could be telling the truth. You never know. They could be bragging about the truth. You never know. Stop playing.
Some of the crap that these dudes are saying. It's comedy gold.
I guess.
And as a side note, just in case you happen to be in Tokyo, there is also a One Piece themed gym named Bragmen that has all sorts of gimmicky One Piece workouts, and it is very friendly to foreigners. So if you're looking for something to do and you happen to be in the Shibuya area right now, head off to the gym. Why not? But if you're anywhere else, then go watch this next video. And also let me know everything you thought about things I said in the comments below.
No, Luffy's not gonna do some crazy, bro. Pull the war and do his thing, you know what I'm playing? And maybe not, bro. Maybe he's gonna be shanked, bro. But someone gonna pull up to something, bro. Cause they don't, bro. Luffy about to go crazy. He about to go stupid, and he gonna do his thing. Or he might die. Hopefully not, but we'll see. So if you like the content, y'all see more, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And we'll see you in the video. Peace.